I guarantee you can quote me on this. I mean, I am confident. I am confident on this. Hello, everyone. Today I have something very cool that I would like to share about the live stream sequence that's very interesting. So, the motion capture actress for Tifa posted an update on Twitter. It's a long, long scene in which the dialogue expresses a lot of heart. We carefully crafted every word so that the character's feelings could be conveyed to the players and the image which matched the creator's ideals. Now, of course, us Clotis, we definitely clocked this as being the live stream sequence because the Highwind scene is emotional and it is important for Cloud and Tifa, but which scene is long and emotional and very important to the characters? Let's take a couple of guesses. Yamazaki, he kind of confirmed what Haruka Shibai was saying on her Twitter by posting something around the same time where he said, "Now, there's going to be a lot of talking during today's cutscene shoot. Let's do our best." Another to me, and that's another confirmation that it indeed is the live stream sequence. And when you really think about it, during the original FF7, the cutscene takes place from the point in which Tifa and Cloud fall into the live stream. It takes about 30 minutes, give or take, for the sequence to end. That's a long time just for the pixelated version, right? So when you think about them doing this in high graphical fidelity with voice actresses and voice actors and cutscene animators and with music and timing the music. It's going to be a very ambitious sequence and they're going to pour a lot of love into the scene. And I wouldn't be surprised if the vocal recording for Ayumi Ito and Takahiro Sakurai starts sometime this year or next year. I wouldn't be surprised if we start getting, marketing material soon enough to showcase some of those clips from the live stream scene, or at least the drama leading up to that point. And the scene is very highly regarded by the developers to this day. In fact, a translation of an interview by Shinra Arc does state, quote, interviewer, "How about you, Mr. Kitase? Which scene left an impression that you still feel to this day?" Kitase: "I'm with Nomura. For me, it's the climactic sequence in the psychic world. That scene resolves a whole series of mysteries relating to Sephiroth and Cloud. I actually didn't know Cloud's memories belonged to Zack until late in development. Originally, when I first checked the scenario, Zack's character didn't even exist. He was born out of Nojima's efforts to contrive a solution to the game's mysteries. And so until that piece of the puzzle was finished, I could only wonder how Nojima was planning to wrap everything up. I had to make my events without knowing what was actually going on." Of course, the scene isn't just about Cloud bearing his mind and heart and soul to Tifa, right? In that sequence. It's about basically the climax of Cloud's character arc in which he finally comes to himself and realizes, this is who I really am. I had Zack's memories, but that wasn't me. I was never in Soldier, yada, yada, yada. You always remember that iconic sequence of the Shinra grunt Cloud taking off his helmet and going after Sephiroth in the Mako reactor. It's such an iconic scene, such an iconic twist that we still remember to this day. Nomura and co, they know that this sequence is one that they can't really touch. There's certain points in the narrative that they know makes FF7, right? That you really can't change too much, or else it starts to feel not like it's a fan fiction, but it starts to feel like not FF7, right? For FF7 Remake, that scene was the cross-dressing sequence. That was the scene that everyone was wondering about, that everyone was really looking forward to. In Rebirth, it was Aerith's fate that people were really wondering about, and wondering about how, they were going to present it, right? Which during our first playthrough left us all really confused. And I have a strong feeling that in part 3, that sequence is going to be the live stream sequence because to me it is the apex of that portion of the game. It is when, again, Cloud finds his true self and Cloud and Tifa's feelings are pretty much laid bare. Cloud is laid bare before her. We see all of his weaknesses, all of his insecurities, and we see how Tifa is really there for him through it all. And we see how she is his rock. I believe that most key lines in this sequence will not be changed too much, but there was a line in particular that was lost in translation that people often cite as a reason to actually dislike Tifa or a reason as to why they don't really jive with Tifa's character, because they believe that she bullied Cloud, which actually is not the case. Okay, so it comes from the official American translation, where Child Cloud states, "I really wanted to play with everyone, but you never let me in the group." Well, from the events that unfold and from the type of character we see Tifa presented as, we know that that isn't exactly true, right? You can just gather that from playing the game. However, in Japanese, this line is made even more clear. From this correct translation, we can see that nothing of Tifa ostracizing Cloud is mentioned. It says, "I really wanted to play with everyone, but I couldn't bring myself to join the group," which, it highlights Cloud's insecurity of him not wanting to speak up or not wanting to be around those boys that Tifa was around, because he didn't really like them. He was jealous. He felt like he was special or unique, and he wanted to be that way for Tifa. He wanted to be Tifa's one and only. He wanted to be strong for her. She was his motivator to join Soldier, basically. And mistranslation notwithstanding, I get it. From what I know about the translation of FF7, there wasn't really a group of translators to cross-verify each other's work. It was only one person, from my understanding. Human error happens, especially when you have a tight deadline. So it's okay. This is why Remake Part 3 is here to clear up any misconceptions. Plus, here's the thing that I'd really like to emphasize. Tifa's mother had just died. You need to know the context of the time period and the scene in which Little Cloud is saying that line, because as stated in Traces of Two Past, Tifa recalled that when she and Cloud were very young, they used to spend all day playing together. Cloud's front door was right next to her own, making it easy to run back and forth between the two homes. As children, they'd had little reservation about inviting themselves in whenever they pleased. So that was before Tifa was the age that she was, 7 or 8, when her mother died. "Ah, that little strife boy has a face like an angel." Tifa's mother had once described Cloud like that. Tifa's mother was alive when she made this comment about Cloud. Tifa's mother was around when Cloud and Tifa used to play together and were close. Do you see the connection? Do you see where I'm going with this? Tifa experienced the trauma of her mother passing. She had both her parents and then she lost her mom. That was something that a little Cloud could not help her with. Cloud only had one parent. He only had his mother. So I think in some sense he could understand. But again, this is not something that young children are equipped to deal with. And so being around each other during their formative years really had made a mark. This is why Tifa is the only one that can do this job in the live stream, the only one that can put him back together. They were around each other in Nibelheim. All Cloud had was his mother and Tifa. Tifa watched him grow up. They knew each other during this formative period of time. The important events to Cloud that are kept in his psyche are events in Nibelheim, events in this town, from Cloud following Tifa up the mountain, to Tifa falling off the mountain, to Cloud and Tifa making their special promise, to them playing together. The important events in Cloud's life, many of them are tied to this town. The moment where he is stuck at being developmentally 16, that was in Nibelheim during the Sephiroth incident. Everything is tied to this town for Cloud and Tifa. So everything is especially tied to this town for Cloud. Nibelheim is the key. The only person he has left from Nibelheim is the only person that can do the job. Aerith is a Cetra and she has great knowledge, but she doesn't have the power to read minds. And so, the only person, again, that is close enough to Cloud to do this is Tifa. Because why? Because not only did they grow up together, but they do love each other. And sure, of course, I'm looking forward to the Highwind sequence. That's not a question. And I don't care how it happens. I don't care if they're on rocks. I don't care if it's on the airship. I don't care if it's on the grass. None of that matters to me. Sure, consummating your relationship physically, that is one thing, right? Anyone can do that. To bare your soul to someone, to say, "I love you so much that I'm going to give you the ability to peer into my mind and my psyche and put me back together," and just the level of trust that they have for each other is beautiful. And this is a big reason why I love the pair. It's not just because, they have that physical attraction to each other. No, it's more than that. And the live stream sequence it's what brings it all together, and it's what allows that iconic Highwind sequence to even happen. And the fact that Tifa can take a dip into the live stream and peer through the looking glass, so to speak, at her memories with Cloud in Rebirth in a brand new sequence is unprecedented and really seems to push that idea of Tifa being a very spiritually in tune person. Never mind the fact that during the original game, she hears a lot of voices speaking to her through the live stream that aren't Cloud's. So again, it gives credence to this idea of Tifa being very easily able to connect with the dead, or at least spirits. And in a recent Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis event, it gives even more credence to this idea. In the special episode entitled Odin, Vanquisher of Souls, Tifa finds herself on the other side of Mount Nebel, something she wanted to do when she was a kid. And she wanted to go, Cloud followed her, but she ended up falling off the mountain before she could reach the other side. And in this event, she finds herself really missing Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge. And they try to reach her with their voices, but they can't. And then a nebulous soul lets them know that, hey, you can reach her with significant memories or promises, really highlighting the fact that the live stream sequence, with all of its promises and memories, is going to be a really important thing for Cloud and Tifa. They share all of that between them for their very strong bond. Memories and bonds. That's been such a huge recurring theme throughout Final Fantasy VII and the remakes and Rebirth especially. And what makes Tifa so worthy to have this job? Well, her undaunting devotion and her abiding love give her the strength to carry on and help Cloud. That's what makes Tifa such a strong character. Tifa will do anything for her loved ones. Yes, she's insecure sometimes, but she has a really strong heart and a big love for the rest of the party, especially for Cloud. Tifa's very loyal. She's devoted. And that's why she's a great match for someone like Cloud, who is also very loyal. And I feel like they really mirror each other in those aspects. In some ways, they're different. And in some ways, they really are alike. Because what was something that was said in Traces of Two Paths, a reason why Tifa liked Cloud? Well, it was because in some ways he was her exact opposite. Cloud chose to block out the things that he found distasteful or troublesome to deal with. And we see that a lot in Remake and Rebirth. Sometimes he just chooses to not engage. Whereas that is contrasted with Tifa. She worries too much about what others think, and that has been her personality since childhood. So in that way, they're both the opposite of each other. So I love how there's that push and pull with each other. Cloud is described as a character who is mentally weak, and Tifa helps that mentally weak side of him. But in some ways, Cloud has inspired her mentally as well. So again, I love that push and pull between them. It's not so simple with them, and they kind of bounce off of each other in that way. And again, it's another reason why I love them so much. And if you are seriously wondering how the tone of part 3 will be like, well, look no further than the Gongaga bedroom sequence in Rebirth. That's all you need to know. Just take that and apply it to your expectations for part 3, because it just sets the tone. That's basically how part 3 is going to be, but on steroids. When it comes to the Tifa party leader segment in that final part, I could see them really extending it. If you didn't explore around with Tifa as your party leader and just went straight to Mideel, sure, you can say that the time you spend with her as party leader isn't that much. But in the next game, I could definitely see them making it at least minimum 2 hours, especially if they make it, and I'm hoping they make it like an 80-hour game of story. The last two were about maybe 40 hours of story. I'd love for them to double that. Just cut out most of the mini games and just give us 80 hours of story and 2 hours minimum with Tifa as party leader. Because, hey, I don't think anyone will be complaining. I should say the majority of people won't be complaining, right? Because they've done such a good job with Tifa's writing in this new trilogy of games that by the end of this, people are going to be praising this character as the most well-written female character in video games. I guarantee you, you can quote me on this. I am confident. I am confident on this. And then people that didn't think much of Cloud and Tifa's relationship, they're going to come back running and say that, oh my God, Cloud and Tifa have the best relationship out of all the Final Fantasy couples. And Cloud and Tifa fans are going to be like, we told you. We told you. You just weren't paying attention. They were always peak. They were always peak. It was always there. You just didn't see it. You just didn't see it, okay? But I promise you, Cloud and Tifa are gonna make history. They're gonna make the standard so high that you're not it's gonna be a challenge to reach it. Love you. Thanks for watching. Bye.